AEW's All Out is this Saturday, the first AEW that will be in the COVID Dome. Literally, we have seen the Daly's place, the place of the Jacksonville Jaguars, literally have bubbles for fans to be in, literally becoming the COVID Dome, which is different from our Thunderdome experiences we've seen over the past few weeks, but it's a great card nonetheless. First off, Britt Baker will face Big Swole in a first ever tooth and nail match, which we're assuming, since Britt Baker, of course, obviously is a dentist, will be in her place of work. We don't know how that's going to happen, if that's even OSHA regulated. We don't even know if that's even possible, but I guess we don't even know how you win. I guess if you use a drill on somebody, you win. I don't fucking know. But this has been going on for a while, and I'm very surprised this wasn't on the main card with how much they've been pushing this every week on Dynamite. I'm just going to pick Baker just because she's honestly the biggest star the women's division has. Granted, something we'll talk about later might change that, but out of all the names they've pushed, she's the most recognizable female on the roster. And it just doesn't make sense for her to lose like this. After being on the show for months, it makes no sense. Next up, Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in a Broken Rules match. We have, again, no idea what the Broken Rules are. We'll probably learn that on Saturday. But if Matt Hardy loses, he will leave AEW, which is probably not going to happen, so Hardy will win, obviously. Next up, the Jurassic Express, consisting of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, with Marco Stunted Grove himself at ringside, will face the Young Bucks. Of course, on Dynamite this last night, there was a match between these two teams and the combination of SCU and the Butcher. No, it wasn't the Butcher of the Blade. It was Private Party. Excuse me. It was Private Party. And the winner of that match, these teams would face each other. Kind of a random thing for a match, but why not? You got to fit the card. Just do it. It's an interesting match. The combination of Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy over the past few months has been very successful. With that being said, it's a Bucks match. I would be very surprised if they didn't win this match. And get into title contention again for the tag titles. But something could happen here, and we'll just see. But I will pick the Bucks initially, but I won't be surprised if the Jurassic Express wins that match. Next up, Dark Order members Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and the new TNT champion, the Exalted One, Mr. Brody Lee, face the Natural Nightmares, which is Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, Scorpio Sky, and I guess the pay-per-view debut, even though he doesn't work here, of Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder. Cardona has been impressive when we've seen him. Again, he's kind of more of a free agent. He's not really on the roster, but to see him in this could probably lead him towards an AEW contract. We don't know. Especially with his technical partner Brian Myers on Impact. You know, he's probably still testing the waters in several promotions. But this is the first pay-per-view for the former Ryder since WWE. I don't think he's been on pay-per-view for months in WWE anyway. So it doesn't matter, but we'll just see what happens here. But as far as a winner, the Dark Order has really grown over the past few months in a positive way. I can see the Dark Order winning this match. I mean, maybe Cardona gets an upset win, but that's very unlikely. Next up, the 21-man Casino Battle Royal. The winner will get a future AEW World Title match. And I'm not sure if this is everybody in the match, but so far, we have Darby Allin, Lance Archer, the FTW champion Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, The Butcher, The Blade, Eddie Kingston, Sean Spears, Billy and Austin Gunn, Jake Hager, Santana, Ortiz, Chuck Taylor, Trent, and a few more names that haven't been announced yet. I think there's 4 names that are missing from this Battle Royal so far, if I'm counting it right. Of course, Eddie Kingston, having a stable of the Lucha Brothers, the Butcher, and the Blade, gives them, at best, almost a 25% chance of winning this match. And they could hopefully use that to their advantage. Battle Royals are kind of harder to pick, but if I were to pick some people up right initially, Kingston stable obviously has a big advantage. Brian Cage, just because I want to see that happen. The guy's a fucking machine. Let him be a machine. Lance Archer is kind of in the same tier, I guess, of Cage. Is hard to say. But, he's a monster. Let him just be a monster in this match. Darby Allin for the Dark Horse win. And for an upset, I would pick Austin Gunn, just because he's young. He's the son of Billy Gunn, and honestly, if you're going to push somebody to the moon, like someone we'll see later on, you might as well start that early. Next up, for the AEW Women's World Championship, Hikaru Shida defends against the NWA Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa. And we've seen her over the past few weeks. We saw her last night on Dynamite. Very impressive. Of course, Thunder Rosa won the NWA Women's World title against Allison Kay a couple months ago before the pandemic happened. And we haven't had NWA Power with 2 R's for some reason, or 3 R's even. I don't even remember if it's 2 R's or 3 R's, but it's more than 1 R, I know that much. But NWA will be having their weekly pay-per-view series in conjunction with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, United Wrestling Network, and several other platforms starting September 15th. So this could be seen as hyping that up in the next few weeks. But there's a very big possibility that Thunder Rosa becomes a double champion. And if that has happened, we could see the NWA Women's World Champion a lot more than we will be after this Saturday. I will pick Thunder Rosa just to see it. I don't think we've ever seen an NWA Women's Champion hold multiple titles, just because how the NWA used to be structured. It just didn't make sense for that to happen. But at least, and when I say that, of course, they've held multiple titles. Independent wrestling is a thing. But as far as being on a nationally televised network, in fact, I think this is the first time we've seen an NWA title, on Turner Broadcasting since the whole thing with Cody and the current NWA champion, Nick Aldis, formerly known as Magnus. And it's been a very long time, and I think it's the first time we've seen him on Turner Broadcasting in probably 20 years, 30 years even, maybe even more than that. So it's very rare to see this happen. But again, I will pick Thunder Rosa to pick up the win. I won't be surprised if Shida retains, but we haven't seen Shida in a while. That doesn't mean she won't retain, but if you're gonna push this thing the way I want them to do it, you gotta pull the trigger now. For the AEW World Tag Team titles, Kenny Omega and Adam Page defends against FTR, the former Revival, with Tully Blanchard in their corner. A lot of people were thinking Arn Anderson would be in their corner, but, Blanchard is probably the better option, honestly. This is going to be simple. Adam Page has basically destroyed himself to where he has been out of the elite for the past few months, but now officially out of the elite as of last week, even though he wasn't in the elite for months anyway. Just to have that official makes sense. And that's going to be the odd man out. I mean, Adam Page is a hothead. We've seen it over the past few months. FTR wins the titles, and if anything, if they don't win the titles, then them coming here doesn't really make sense. If you're going to push the tag team division, you need a top team like the former Revival. You just need that. You just can't have single guys win the title. It's not that you can't have single guys winning the title all the time. It's just you need a solid tag division, and I cannot think of a better team to hold that division down rather than FTR. Next up, in the first ever Mimosa Mayhem match, there will be orange juice and bubbly into roughly a 30 to 50 gallon vat, mixed in, I'm assuming, throughout the day. As Chris Jericho faces Orange Cassidy, the winner can only be achieved by pinfall, submission, or throwing their opponent into this giant tank of mimosa, bubbly, orange, whatever you want to call it. Basically a mimosa. I don't know how good it would be, but, that's not for me to decide. It's just there as a way to win. Orange Cassidy has really improved over the past few months. I really don't know. I just want to see someone thrown into this tank of mimosa. It's just the perfect ending to the storyline here. But, you know what? Orange for the surprise win. Not that Jericho won't win his own match, but I just see Orange winning. And finally, for the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley defends against MJF with Wardlow in his corner. Moxley, due to signing a contract, is banned from using the Paradigm Shift, which we're assuming if he uses it, he loses the title. MJF has been on a campaign of sorts, which has been the best part of AEW every single week. It's very simple here. MJF wins the title. There's no way I see him losing the match. It's not that Moxley won't retain. It's that MJF is the best thing you have right now on this show every week. You might as well give him the title, give him a chance to run. He's probably would be maybe the youngest world champion ever, if not obviously the youngest in AEW's history. Just basically, we've only had maybe 2 champions, but I don't know how MJF will lose. I don't see it happening. Everything's in his favor. The guy is being pushed to the moon, as you should push this guy to the moon. He's the best thing in wrestling right now. And with that being said, AEW is this Saturday. We have a great night of action, a great day of action, including the red carpet, the buy-in, and several other things going on throughout that day. And we'll just see what happens. It's AEW's first pay-per-view in a post-pandemic world. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here.